You can tell Lee popped an Adderall for this one. I was like, what does that even mean? I don't even know what Adderall does. So I had to look it up, and it was like producing meth-like behavior.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to 3 Point Perspective, the podcast about illustration, how to do it, how to make a living at it, and how to make an impact in the world with your art. I'm Jake Parker.
I'm Lee White.
And I'm Will Terry, and all three of us are professional illustrators and have worked for just about every publisher in the business. We've together published somewhere around 100 books, and we've all taught illustration at universities.
Each week we're going to come at you guys with a Each week we come at you guys with a different Each week we come at you guys with a different subject, and
each week each
week we come at you with a new subject about illustration. Sometimes we fight, sometimes we agree, but every time you are going to be enthralled, impressed, and
this is what happens when Lee. This is what happens when Lee isn't taking Adderall.
Popping the Adderalls. All right, let's do that again. I don't like it.
Okay. I think I went into it like too fast, but here we go. Hello, everybody, and welcome to 3 Point Perspective, the podcast about illustration, how to do it, how to make a living at it, and how to make an impact in the world with your art. I'm Jake Parker.
I'm Lee White.
And I'm Will Terry. And all three of us are professional illustrators and have worked for just about every publication in the business. We've published over 50 children's books between us, or around 100. I don't know. We don't even know what the count is.
10,000.
And we've all taught illustration at universities.
We come at you guys with different topics about illustration. Sometimes we're going to argue. Sometimes we're going to agree. Each time you are going to learn something new.
Great. So, guys, it's good to see you. We had to postpone our usual meeting, just our usual time for it, and just because life sometimes gets in the way. And so here we are, we made it. And I want to thank Will for referring to us as professional illustrators instead of semi-professional illustrators. He was going through a phase there for a little bit.
Somewhat professional illustrators.
Also, what do you guys think of our new music? I'm asking our audience, not you two. It's been the last few episodes. I don't know if you noticed, but we've changed our music. And I think we're just trying this out where we do a different piece of music every year to kind of differentiate the years. So,
and each one of us is going to pick it, right? So we'll pick the first one,
mm-hmm.
and then Jake pick the next one, and then next one up is me. So get ready for some bagpipe action.
That's
Bagpipes.
right. That's right.
I always do that when my classes, when people, I'm like, okay, what do you guys want to listen to? You know, we listen to music while we're drawing. And they're like, whatever. And I'm like, okay, bagpipes every time. Like, nope, you said. You got to be specific.
So awesome. It's such a dad response to your class. Do we have any housekeeping, anything we need to go over from before that we need to? I don't think so. Let's just dive right into this topic.
I don't even know what the topic is or whose it is. That's how much we prepare here at SVSLearn.
It's my topic, and it's a topic that I know you guys have opinions on. So we're gonna dive right into it, and that is building your own website and what to put on it as an illustrator. Basically making a portfolio website and what should be on it, and how you should go about it, and what not to do and what to do. So first things first, I have a list. I have a checklist here. We're going to make sure we get through everything. Surprise. I think the audience likes to know that they're in good hands. So I think that's why my episodes always have such a higher download rate than the other ones.
I think you've got the third ranked one. Doesn't Will? Will has the top one only because it's been there longest. I have the per week highest ratio.
Well, nobody's counting really. So
I have a graph on my wall, actually.
That's hilarious. Okay, so before you even sit down to do your website, your portfolio website, I think what you need to do is have a portfolio, some collection of work, some body of work. How many illustrations do you think you need to have before you decide to bite the bullet and get a portfolio website? What do you guys think?
10.
10? No more, no less?
I'd say more. I mean, you can have more, but I think 10 would be, before I would waste I don't call it waste money, but spend money on it.
Invest the money.
10 would be
10 solid pieces, right?
10 solid pieces in the same style, not 10 different pieces. Like here's a business card logo I did and a figure drawing from my junior college class and something I did in 8th grade. I mean,
but
I do
10
see
cohesive,
10 cohesive pieces that say, hey, I'm going to be this type of illustrator, to where somebody can go there and say, hey, I can identify with where this work would go.
Okay. Will, what about you?
I probably would agree with that.
Back him up on that.
But I was going to ask you in your notes, do you have a place to talk about like when you think that someone is ready to make a website? Because I have something to say about that.
Let's talk about that right now.
Okay.
I would think, when is the next question to ask too? It's like, you've got some artwork, but are you ready? Is now the time to do a website?
Right. I've had the question asked me a lot, and I've had students talk to me about, I'm afraid to put my work out there because I don't think it's ready yet. I'm afraid that, should I put this piece out there because I'm afraid that if clients see it, it will ruin, it doesn't fit the rest of my work, and so it's going to ruin my chances of getting hired. And there's this misnomer out there that when you put stuff out on the internet, that everyone that could potentially hire you will see that and make a determination on you, and it's just not true. It's just, that's a myth that, in my opinion, I think that there's no such thing as not being ready. The theory is from a lot of people that are starting out is, if their work isn't great enough, then they'll ruin future chances of getting hired, and I just don't think it's true at all.
No, I do think that holds true with official advertising campaigns. So is the website different than an official advertising campaign in that capacity?
What's an official advertising campaign?
Well, like where you're sending out postcards and stuff like that and starting to get mailing lists together.
This is where we're going to totally disagree. You
good.
Guys have signed up
finally.
For a good podcast.
Well, see, I agree with you about the website, but it's just, I just want to put that little asterisk to that.
Yeah.
Don't just
But
think
let's say you send out an official postcard blast. How many are you sending? 1,000?
Sure. Say 1,000 for.
Well, how many potential clients are out there, and how many people, in the turnover rate where people move around at companies. So like you could advertise to a company today, and next year or the year after, the art directors change positions. So now that art director has no idea who you are.
Yes, they do. They don't just forget. They just go to the publishing house, and that's literally next door. If you guys have mailed stuff to publishers, they're all on the same street.
Okay, so you're talking children. Okay, are you talking about children's book industry then?
Well, just whichever industry.
Let me pause both of you. No, I think the first question.
We're going to take this over.
Nope,
we're going to hijack this.
No, I'm in charge here. I think the first question you need to ask yourself is, what is the purpose of the website?
Ooh, Jake.
So
rounding us up.
So I think there's 3, maybe 4 different reasons to have a website. Number one is you have a service you want to sell. So say you're a freelancer and you're ready to go into business and you want to get work, then you want to have a website, a place for a client to see what you do and decide whether or not you're the type of person they want to hire. So I think that's number one, if you have some sort of service that you're trying to sell. Number 2, you're trying to get a job. So you want to get hired on by a studio, in animation and video games, entertainment, something like that. Or you want to get hired on in the art department at some company that has an art department. So I think that's another reason to have a website. And I think the other one, maybe these two kind of go hand in hand, is maybe you want to build, maybe you're building a fan base already on YouTube or Instagram or Twitter or something like that, and you want to have a hub for people to come and get better acquainted with you. So maybe use the website to build a fan base better. So it's sort of like this place where people can find out more about you and be, driven to either selling your own artwork or selling your own books or selling, getting them to support you on Patreon, something like that. So I think those are the 3 reasons. And the purpose of your website is going to change what goes on your website, what kind of things you include. So you guys are talking about trying to get freelance work. That's that website, and whether or not you should have it early or late, whether or not you should wait till you have 10 pieces or you should wait until you send out 1,000 postcards. And I think those are good. That's a good debate to have. But I think for the purposes of this, it's like figure out what this website, what the purpose of it is, and then move forward with investing in the time and the money that it takes to create it.
That's
So
really
do you
good.
think that that was a
Yeah,
lot
go ahead.
of pontificating, but do you think that there's a time where it's too early for someone to make a website? Like their work isn't developed enough?
I think you don't get a website until you, like Lee said, you have a portfolio. You have just a body of work, and I think 10 is a good round number. I would say 20, but if you're chomping at the bit, ready to go, and you're going to be adding to it, throughout the year, I think 10's a good starting
Here's
point.
what I like about that, about the early.
Hold on, but I'm assuming that you have that many pieces, but every artist has that many pieces. So how do they know that they're good enough?
Well, see, that's why I like the 10, is because at a minimum, in my opinion, you use the website. I think everybody should have the website. If you're doing art, I think you should have a website. And the 10 would be kind of the benchmark to look at each piece you do. So you just made a painting or you just made a drawing, and you pull it aside and say, is this good enough to go there? Kind of that's your threshold level. And it's a good way to, I think, judge quality. Now, are the pieces going to be fantastic right when you're starting out? No, of course not. And you're going to get better as you go. But I like having some kind of criteria where I have to, like Instagram and Facebook I'll put almost anything up there, sketches, paintings, whatever. I mean, that's more of just a life kind of, you're sharing your life with people. But the website, I don't know, there's a little bit of a bar there.
Mm-hmm. I think, Will, to answer your question, I think once you have the 10 pieces, that shows that you're committed to, and like Lee was saying, like these aren't, these are cohesive. These aren't, 10 life drawings or 10, a hodgepodge of logo design and character design and whatever. But these are 10 cohesive pieces. Regardless of quality, I think you start getting into that mode of presenting and learning, almost like going through the motions and learning how to present yourself, how to put this thing together. And you can have, you could start out with a amateur looking website, but the thing I want you to think about is that it's living and breathing. It's not something carved in stone, and it evolves as you evolve as an artist, and it should change over the years as you change over the years, and you should be swapping pieces out and putting new pieces in. And I think that's the best way to do. Would you think that's okay, Will? Is that okay?
Oh, no. So you don't believe that there is? I mean, I'm imagining I'm starting out and I have 10 cohesive pieces. In other words, if I'm trying to get children's book work, I have 10 illustrations that fit the children's book industry. But are you saying that there is no bad time to start once you have that?
Yeah,
because that's what I'm saying. I think I agree. I think you should. I think the practice of uploading work and evaluating your work and looking at your pieces and adding to a website is really, really good practice.
I would put, so I think there's two parts of that. You have the 10 pieces they're cohesive, but the quality is, a variable, right?
Right.
Also, I would say, what's the purpose? And if your purpose is to get work, but you're a junior in high school and you're not quite ready to do, you're not professional enough to do that yet, then maybe that's not the time to invest in a website and just keep working on your social media and something like that. If you're a junior in college and graduation is a year away and you've got 10 pretty solid pieces, that are upper student work, lower, semi-pro work, heck yeah, have a website. And I think it's, you could actually land some work as a junior in college, more so than you would as, a junior in high school.
Mm-hmm.
Let me ask you guys a question about functionality, and I'm just picturing that junior in high school putting this stuff together. And with most websites, almost all the ones that come pre-packaged, like Squarespace or something like that, they come with a blog feature. Is the blog world dead? I never read a blog anymore. Is that gone?
I'm glad you brought that up, and actually, that is something I was going to talk about a little bit later, because I think the next step is you've decided you're ready to have this website. What do you do next? Do you get a domain name, or do you just get the free version of a website out there? I think you've got a few options in front of you right now. There's places like ArtStation. There's places like DeviantArt. There's places where basically they will host a portfolio for you, and it'll be yourname.artstation.com. So that's one option. That's the free option. Actually, maybe ArtStation, there is a fee for that portfolio feature. I can't remember, but it's probably something nominal. The next level is buying your own domain name and buying hosting service and buying some sort of engine for a website. And I think you have there's a million different options out there, but I think the easiest three options are WordPress, Squarespace, and Wix. And those three, WordPress is if you're more if you're a little bit more code savvy, I would use WordPress. And if you can get in there and understand how to do CSS and some HTML, then you won't blow up your website like I've done in the past, where you change one piece of code and the whole thing crashes.
Nice.
If you are less savvy and more visual and design oriented, then I think you go with Squarespace or Wix. I personally use Squarespace. I know Lee does, and Will, you just switched to Squarespace too.
I did.
Right? Last year.
I don't know if you guys saw this come through, but Mia just sent an email, ironically, with Wix wanting to partner with us on something. Did you guys just see that?
I just saw it pop up on my screen. I don't know what it is yet, but
that's hilarious.
We love Wix, so maybe we'll talk to.
No, I mean this just.
I'll switch to Wix.
Just popped in, and it's actually not even for us; it's for our students. So, who knows? We might end up doing something. Who knows? Yeah.
Will's multitasking during the podcast.
I can't help it.
Nothing wrong with that. I usually draw when it's not my turn to lead the discussion. Okay, so I personally love Squarespace. I've done WordPress before. I've done my own, I've designed my own website on Dreamweaver?
I did that too.
Remember that back in the day?
That was a nightmare.
I loved it. I had a lot of fun with it.
I'm glad those days are over.
I kind of miss it because I could make it exactly how I want it. And I made my Squarespace website now look like my old, kind of have the same vibe as my old website from 10 years ago. Anyways, so should you get a domain name? And if you get a domain name, what should it be? What do you guys think?
I mean, I like something that's really simple, and I was lucky to be able to get Will Terry back in the day. I've had that for 20 years now.
I'd love to have leewhite.com, but I think it's a photographer last time I checked. Sometimes I check every 5 years to see if he's maybe forgot to renew, and then I'm going to swoop it.
Yeah. I think you should be somewhat creative in trying to get something simple that's easy to spell, that's logical to spell. But yeah, I do think it's worth it to have your own domain name.
And my piece of advice here is please get a domain name with whatever name you're going to do business as.
Yeah.
So I used to have the domain name agent44.com. And the reason for that was my online handle for social media and forums that I would go to was Agent44. And so then I was I got to get a website. So I'm going to do agent44.com. So people know me online as Agent44, and then they could go to my website, Agent44. And then I got my first book deal, and I was oh, I can't put Agent44, illustrated by Agent44.
Right.
And so I realized, I got to shift everything over to Jake Parker. And by then, JakeParker.com was taken. So I was like, well, do I do Jake Parker illustration? Do I do Jake Parker art? And the problem there was I didn't want to like box myself in. I didn't, if I'm doing more comics than illustration, or what if I end up doing, I don't know, podcasting or something crazy like that, right? I didn't want to be like, I didn't want to box myself in. So what I ended up doing was finding MrJakeParker.com was available. And I thought, let's just go for that. And what was funny is that adding the Mr. in front is kind of like tongue in cheek a little bit, a little more formal than what I am, but people always refer to me as Mr. Jake Parker now whenever they meet me in person or they introduce me, in a convention setting or in a public speaking setting, something like that. So it actually helped build my brand a little bit. So Mr. Jake Parker, that's my advice there.
I've struggled with that exact thing because since LeeWhite.com was taken, I had to do Lee White illustration. And back then I was doing just illustration, but now I'm not. And so,
if you want to be a fine artist,
Lee White art would have been.
The fine art world hates illustrators.
Right.
Yeah. But what if you had done Lee White art?
Maybe.
Simpler.
I know. I hate every time I have to enter in my email, like when I'm trying to program my Netflix account or something. Oh my God, typing that thing out.
Illustration.
Hey, you know what?
I
just pulled up LeeWhiteArt.com. It's available and I'm buying it right now if you want to buy it from me.
He's going to mark it up. I'll sell it to you for $50.
Oh no, but I've struggled with that. So that's actually a really important point.
Yeah. So I would get your name or whatever you're going to be known as. And then you can add on to it some signifier if your name's already taken. But I would do something, that doesn't box you in. So I wouldn't do like, LeeWhiteDrawsComics.com. Yeah. Because what if 10 years from now you're like, I'm done doing comics, right?
Can I add a comment? Let me add just to drive this point home a little further because it's such a complicated point.
So I'm not sure they're understanding yet, but this might help.
No, but there's always a student who thinks that they're going to do something different in this little area. And I had a student, I was teaching the business class, and it was the class right before you go into the real world and printing business cards and postcards and all that stuff, making the website. And he had written this story and he had all these 3D models. He wasn't an illustrator. He was more of a modeler / little bit of concept art. And so he had built this world and written this story. And the name of his website was something like Ars Adeptus or something like that. And I was begging him, I was pleading. I was like, please don't go with that. Please don't go with that. Well, comes time for the final show, class, and everybody shows their work and it accumulates with showing the website and how all that functionality and the work. And he couldn't type it in. He got it wrong. It said not found, and he couldn't remember how to spell it. And I was like, "Oh
no,
sweet justice!"
Told you. Okay.
So make it easy. Make it easy. Don't assume that people are going to know every project you've done and know the character's name and that's your website name. Don't do that.
Okay, so you got your domain name. You've got your website ready to start building out and throwing stuff on there. What should be on your homepage? When people type in you.com, whatever it is, what should be the thing that comes up?
It should be a really, really animated, long to load animation.
No, that's good, but really I was thinking more, it should be just a wall of text, like your manifesto on illustration. I think that should be the first thing people see. What do you think, Will?
I mean, obviously it should play loud music right away, but no. So, I think you should show people artwork right away and in part of your landing page.
Show that your business is not verified.
What the heck?
What was that?
Turn your...
I tried to hit kill on my watch and somehow I hit answer and it starts playing on my watch. That's a spam bot.
We're going to, at the beginning of every podcast, we're going to put your phone and your watch in a lead box.
No. More fun. All of our listeners who are of drinking age get a bottle of vodka and you have to drink every time my watch goes off.
Take a shot.
Wow.
Oh, that's funny. Okay, Will, what were you going to say? It should have your artwork on it.
Yeah, it should have your. Excuse me. It should have. You should be able to show them at least one piece of really compelling art right away. I think so that they know what they're getting, or if they've had your business card or something. If there's a reason why they're landing on your page, they should see whatever is reflected in your work that would have brought them there in the first place. So they know they're in the right place.
I think you're right. And I think that goes back to purpose. What's the purpose of your website? So if you're trying to get illustration work, boom, first thing is here's an illustration. If you're trying to get hired for a job, maybe 2 or 3 illustrations. I don't know. Maybe it's one big illustration depending on what it is. I think if you're trying to build a fan base, it should probably be a little bit more personal. Maybe the first thing they see is like a picture of you and a little bit about you, then artwork, something like that. But I think your web page should have your name very large somewhere, not too large, but noticeable. Brief what you do. So it would say Will Terry, illustrator, or Lee White, fine artist, or Jake Parker, bagpipe player, something like that. Right. And then if you want to go down this road, make a logo for yourself and put it on there as well. If you're already using a logo, I would have it right there too. For me personally, I have a logo for all of my avatars online, and I want that logo to be seen when they go to my website, and I want that logo on any sort of print project that I do, so that when they get that logo, it's on my mailing label, and when they get that logo or when they get something that they've ordered from me, it's somewhere on the product as well. So it all ties in, and they're reminded of, the next time they see that logo online, they're reminded of the thing they purchased from me. It's sort of all just wraps together. Logos, what do you guys think? Should an illustrator have a logo? I do it, but not everybody does it.
I think branding is good. I have a logo. I have not actually transferred it to my new website yet. And when I say new, it's like 3 years old now. But I should. I've got this little rabbit on a unicycle, and it goes on all my invoices, and it's sort of my little mark.
I thought your logo was like a silhouette, almost like the NBA logo, but it's you throwing a frisbee, red on one side and blue on the other side. That's a completely different website. That's my it's my disc golf website only. LeeWhiteFrolf.com. Now, I have changed my homepage quite a bit over the past couple of years based on, if you get a website with any of those ones that Jake mentioned earlier, so mine's with Squarespace, you can go into the analytics and see where are people going when they get to your website, and what do they do? And here's one big thing I want to throw out there, and it's the assumptions that you have when you're building the website. When you're building your website, you are totally vested in it. You're trying to almost curate this experience, and no one else goes into your website with that level of interest. And so don't assume that people are going to deep dive and read a bunch and click a bunch, because they don't. And that's what I noticed with analytics is that I had these different, I thought people would get to the website, I'll show them an image like Jake was saying, so they know what I do, but then they'll click where they want to go, whether it's a demo or a print or originals or illustrations from books, and they don't. They really just get in and they get out. And so I switched mine to almost an Instagram style home. It's only basically like one page. You just go there and that's the images, and there's no clicking. And I have seen better conversions to print sales, and I've seen better conversions to people looking at individual images by having that format. That's such a smart thing, because 99.9% of people who are going to your website are coming at it through social media, and they are looking at it on their phone or their tablet or something like that, not so much a desktop. That said, I'm super old school, and I have so much content on my website for the 5 people who want to just dig deep.
And that's cool to have there.
Yeah. And I'm paying for it anyway, and I have all the artwork, so I might as well throw it up there. But you come to my homepage, and there's a picture of me. There's my name. There's my logo.
I'm gonna
There
look at your
is
website right now.
brief description about who I am and what I do. Very brief, not as big as my about page. I have my current project that I'm working on. And then I have basically my latest blog posts, my latest Instagram posts, and my other projects that I'm currently in. So it talks about Inktober, it talks about SVSLearn.com, it talks about this podcast. So it's pretty much a rough overview of who I am. And then if you click on my links, you can dig deeper and you can see what books I recommend, what tools I recommend, my portfolio, and it's project-based. And
so is your ultimate goal, because right when I click on it, the first big sign, it says become a Patreon. So are you doing, or become a patron? So is that your number one level?
Yeah. So I just added that yesterday, actually, because I changed my Patreon to it was project based. So it was help support Skyheart, and I shifted it to see my art here before I post it online, see how I make everything, just behind the scenes of everything that I'm doing, from videos to children's books to whatever. And it's just sort of like a peek behind the curtain.
Now, this is a side topic. I don't want to get derailed on Patreon, but is it working? Are you liking it?
I just shifted it yesterday and I got 3 new patrons. So
$5 a month.
So
that's burritos for the family.
My goal by the end of the year is to double the amount of patrons I have.
So you got 6.
Six.
No. I mean, I already have 95, and I think a couple people left and a couple people came. And so I'm hovering at 95, 96 or something like that. Anyways, that's an aside. But hey, if you want to be, I'll just plug it right now. If you want to get a little bit behind the scenes of what's going on with my work, come on and be a patron.
I have a Venmo.
You guys should just send it right into our account. We'll say, if you wait, I'm going to post twice as much art as Jake on my Patreon. If you want to wait for more content.
All right. Anyways, okay. So that's your homepage. Now, what other pages should be on your website? I'm going to list them. You guys tell me what should not be there or what should be added. You should have an about page. You should have a portfolio section.
Yes.
You should have a services section.
Do you want me weighing in right now?
You should have, no, wait until I'm done.
Okay.
Actually, yes. Let's talk. We'll just go through it. Let's talk about what should be on the about page. Should you have an about page?
Should you have a photo? That's my question now.
Yes.
Yes, definitely.
And I love
a photo of
about
yourself.
Page. I'm looking at mine right now.
I don't like it.
I need to change my photo out. But yeah, people are curious and they want to know more about you. And I think your clients and potential clients, especially if you're in the children's book world and someone's looking at you to do a children's book presentation at a library or at a school, or if they're looking to do a children's book with you, an editor, a publisher wants to know who they're partnering with. Mm-hmm. And I've actually heard
then does the photo, this is a whole can of worms, but does the photo open up a bias?
Probably.
I think if you're very attractive, definitely put a photo on there. In the case of us 3, maybe hold off on that.
They're looking for. I've heard them talk. I've heard editors talk about this. That they often look for someone who is very presentable, and I don't think that necessarily means you have to be attractive, whatever that means. But you have to be presentable, and you have to look. You have to. If your book, what they're afraid of is that your book wins a Caldecott, and you're like some kind
and you're
of
Gomer
mutant.
Pyle.
Exactly. You're Gomer Pyle. You're someone.
Does anybody know who Gomer Pyle is?
No, you just threw out. So there's a lot of people Googling right now.
Who's Gomer Pyle?
Even the librarians talk about how year after year, when the Caldecott Award winner gives their speech, how different and varied each year is, because some people just cannot do public speaking and some can.
Mm-hmm.
I think if you have interesting things, if you have an interesting bio, if there's creativity in your bio, it's going to inspire people to want to work with you and want to, want to deal with you versus someone who's this mysterious, non-existent personality.
I don't think I have a photo on mine. I need to go see.
I agree. I think you have a photo. Your about should be it shouldn't be in third person. I think it should be, hey, I'm so and so. Here's what I do. I think it should be personable. I think you need to include. I think on your about page, I would include like a mini resume. Like, here's the projects I've done. Here's the books I've worked on. Here's the companies I've worked with. I think you should have like just say a little bit of personal stuff. I live here. I'm married. I have kids, or I live with my 2 cats, or something like that. Just a little something personal, so they kind of see who you are as a person. And for the reasons Will said, it's just so that we're humans and we're social, and we want to know who we're dealing with. I think too, you might want to also on the about page just say, if you're trying to offer services, you would have a link to, hey, I'd love to work with you. Here's a link to what I do, something like that. Okay, so that's the about page.
Well, the about page should also contain the contact, don't you think?
So, well, you could combine those. I was going to say the contact page is a separate page, but maybe you have those together. So for me, I have a separate contact page because I have a licensing agent and a literary agent, and I didn't want that. I want people contacting them before they contact me for stuff that they do, right? So on my contact page, I say, if you're wanting to work with me on a book project, contact my literary agent. If you're wanting to work with me on licensing, contact my licensing agent. If you want to just send me an email, here's this form, and it'll send an email to my inbox. And then I have a little note there too that just kind of sets people up for what they're getting into, where I say, I'm super busy and I probably won't get back to you.
Oh, that's smart.
Just so when I do get back to people, they're happy. And when I don't get back to people, they already know, oh, he might not get back, but I still want to send this message. Then I also say, if it's something urgent, type urgent in the subject headline, and I will get back to you in 24 hours if I think it really is urgent. So every once in a while I get an urgent email that totally is not urgent, or it's them. This is the worst too. Maybe I shouldn't complain, but it's a student who has a report due tomorrow, and they need they're supposed to interview an illustrator or professional, and they need my answers like in an hour or something like that. Right. And I'm just like, dude, you shouldn't have slacked off.
On the about page, you can have that's where I would put the frequently asked questions. Yuko Shimizu, if you guys know her, great illustrator, she has a great frequently asked questions page, and it has all the stuff that if you're a student and you're going to probably wonder about her, all the stuff is right there. You can almost write her whole report, at least last time I checked, on that section. I think it's fantastic. I want to put that in there too, just because it stops the weird expectation, sort of like what you're saying. I did get an email last week saying, that this person wants to work with me because I'm a millionaire. And they asked me if I would be their agent.
So you need a frequently asked questions. Are you a millionaire?
I am neither a millionaire nor an agent.
Are you representing people right now? You got a good thing. So I have a frequently asked questions section 2, and
we're going to have to beat that.
Yeah, that's something. If you are getting questions asked frequently, then that's just a way for you to do less work. But you don't need to start off your website with one of those. Okay, so that's your about page. You can combine it with a contact page, or you can have a separate contact page. Portfolio, how should you have a separate section for your portfolio, or should it all be on the front page?
I do the kind of like what Lee said. I have an Instagram type feed.
Mhm.
So when you get to my landing page, you see all the headers, but you also get that Instagram feed so that you're just right into the artwork. And I like that because I think if you bury your portfolio section behind another click,
Mhm.
you might not ever get to it.
Yeah.
I think that is, again, that goes back to what's the purpose of your website. If it's, straight up, I want to get illustration work, then illustration should be front and center. If it's, I want to move this person from, I'm kind of interested in this Jake Parker guy, to I want to be a fan, or I want to be a little bit more engaged, then the front page should reflect maybe some more of that kind of stuff. Stuff that would get them engaged a little more.
Mm-hmm.
And then do you organize your portfolio by subject matter, by project, or is it just a hodgepodge, like throw everything there, let them decide what it goes to? Like, let's say you do book covers, but you also do children's books, but you also do like spot illustrations for, interiors or something like that.
I would throw them all. I wouldn't categorize them. I'd throw them all together. I mean, as long as they're in the same world. And I should add the asterisk there that if you don't be a jack of all trades on your website, every time I go to a website and see a graphic design section, a modeling section, and then an illustration section, and some other, personal sections or whatever, lawn mowing company, it's never good. It's never good when I have to click through those. And so know what you're doing. If you're, and that especially goes true if you're like transitioning your career. Say you're a graphic designer, you already have a graphic design website. You're like, oh, I'm doing illustrations. I'm just going to throw them on my website. Those better be good, and because they rarely are. I don't think you should combine websites with multiple businesses.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
So let me ask you this. I do comics. I've got 3 or 4 graphic novels that I've done. I do picture books. I've got 10 or 11 or 12 of those. I do art books where I collect all my books into all my art.
You're
into
different
books.
though.
So I have those all under different sections.
That's probably smart in that specific case.
Okay. Okay. And then I have my visual development section.
We'll allow it this time, Jake.
Well, I don't know.
You can keep doing that.
The one difference about Jake here, and again, this is the exception, not the rule, is that you actually are a pro at each one of those things.
Yeah.
So it's not weird to have.
And they're related.
So yeah, they are related. It's not completely different. I think your clientele would get confused if you had all that stuff on one page, because they're similar, but they are different markets.
Right. Also, I've been doing this 20 plus years too, so I've got like a lot of different things. So don't feel bad if you're 2 years into it and you don't have 3 graphic novels already done, plus a children's book, plus a 20 illustration portfolio.
It accumulates fast, though, which I was going to ask. Do you guys curate your websites that often? I'm scrolling through Will's now. What's our range here, Will, on the length of time since you did maybe the first illustration that shows up on your main page to the most recent?
So my philosophy is this is kind of a it's an archive. My main my front page. So as I put new images on, they go to the top, and they just kind of. So
if I go all the way to the bottom, that's the oldest.
Typically speaking, yes, they just get older as they go to the bottom. Yeah.
Okay. That's
So when I get new things, I just throw it at the top, and if people want to scroll through and see, I have way too many images, but I figure they're going to see the top. They're going to see my most current stuff at the top. If they
some of these look like Will Terry, but some of these I wouldn't recognize that are closer to the bottom. They're way different than your current work now.
Yeah.
It's good. They're all good though.
I should talk about my first website, which I think it was agent44.net because I couldn't get .com, but my stuff was all organized by year. So I just had 12, 20 or however many pieces that I did in 2003, and here's my 2004, and here's my 2005 work. And then eventually when I got to where, so you could tell a difference because I was I was becoming a better artist each year.
Mhm.
And then once I got to a level where it was less of a difference in quality, I got rid of the years and just organized them by, subject matter or what project they were or something like that.
Mhm.
Okay, so that's portfolios. If you are offering services specifically, like I will do a logo design for you, or I will do, I will illustrate your children's book, or I will do illustrations for you, then I think maybe you have a services page, which basically just outlines what, it specifically says what you do. And this is where I think you narrow it down. You have to say, I do this one thing, or I do these two things for people who hire me. So it clearly says that. And then I think it shows, it's in business, it's called your unique value proposition. It's what makes them decide to choose you over someone else. And then I think, so you explain that, and then I think you show samples of what you could do for them. So, let's say you want to be a t-shirt designer, or you want to be, you want high schools to hire you to design their mascot or something like that, or sports, sports teams or something like that. So you would just say, here's what my name's Jake Parker. I'm a mascot designer. Here's why you want to choose me, because I come at it with this unique perspective, and I've got this style that will, make the other teams jealous of you or whatever. And then show them samples. So I think you should have a section like that if that's the purpose of your portfolio. The other thing, I think this is two bonus things for your website. And I think this is when you get to be the point where you're a little bit more, less starting out, but more experienced. I think, number one, you have a blog. And Lee asked, do people still go to blogs? No, nobody goes to blogs unless they have a reason to. And number two, I think you have a process page, a process section where you outline, here's how I work. And I'll get into that a little after this, but I want to talk about blogs first. I think the problem with blogs is we live in this culture of, consuming things as fast and as quickly as possible, and to get your attention as easily as possible. And a blog is a way to slow down and actually unpack an idea. And so busy people who are surfing their phones aren't going to stop and read a blog when there's 500 Instagram images they haven't seen yet from the people they followed, right? However, if you give them a reason to go there, they might stop and read. So the reason I use a blog, and here's why I do it, and I've been doing it for the last 2 years. I picked it back up again. And that is because, number one, it gives me a platform to say something a little bit deeper and a little bit more important than what I could say in a post. And so, in a tweet. And so oftentimes what I'll do is I'll type it out, put it on my blog, and then say, here's what I'm talking about on my blog. If you want to go deeper in it, you can read over there. What that does is it sends people, there are people who go to it and then they see that I have a shop and there's a link right there to my shop. And so they might poke around in my shop, or they see other things I've posted. And they'll read further, and it just gets them a little bit more invested, a little bit more engaged in who I am. The second thing is it just adds more content to your website, which makes it more searchable. So I just recently did a blog post about the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Little Women, and I mentioned the Beatles and Seinfeld, and I was talking about character archetypes and like the 4 different personalities. And so my hope is if enough traffic goes there, it'll bump up in the search engine. And when somebody types in Little Women, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, the 5 people, that'll rise to the top and they'll come to my website. It just makes it a little bit more searchable because that content is there. So there's
I just found out I just found out I have a blog.
There you go. And then the other thing I do, 2 other things. Blog also just gets people to get to know you better. It shows your personality a little bit better. And the 4th thing, so what was it? It's a way to express deeper thoughts It's a way to have your website more searchable. It's a way to show your personality. And number 4, it's an online journal. It's a web blog. That's what the word blog comes from. And I like going back through it and seeing, oh, this is where my head was at. This is what I was working on, 12 months ago. Well, you used to be avidly blogging. Mm-hmm. What happened?
YouTube. So I found that it was taking me, I wasn't able to spend the time to write this long article because there's so many nuances to the subjects that I wanted to talk about. And I just found it easier to say what I wanted to say in a video that could be 10 minutes to 20 minutes to a half an hour long. And I could do it in one take and I could upload it, and it was more efficient. Saying that, a lot of people like to consume information by reading. Mm-hmm. A lot of people are not interested in. So, I think the best of both worlds would be if I had the time or was paying someone to go through my YouTube videos and then
just transcribe it,
but maybe not word for word, but kind of like rewrite it and
crib notes of it.
Yeah.
I think that was a smart choice too, though, considering where people's attention were. Like, I think you spending time on your YouTube channel was probably smarter than spending time on your blog. But I think what you're saying now, this is the best of both worlds would be to continue documenting things on your website, but also, what I've been thinking was each one of my blog posts will someday become, and already have become, YouTube videos. And so I just call it research and development for my next YouTube video. I'm figuring it all out in Word form. I'm going to post it. I'm going to get feedback. Some people are going to say things on Twitter. Some people are going to actually comment on the blog. And then I'm going to get a better idea for when I go and make a YouTube video, which way more people are going to see. I'll just be a little bit more savvier and educated about that topic because I posted it there already. So I guess that's the 5th reason to have it, is it's research for if you're doing a YouTube channel or something like that. Okay. I think, the case studies, or I guess the process page. This is a bonus thing you can add to your website. Once you've done a few projects, is just show how you go about working on something. So what was the purpose of the project? What was the objective of it? How you were involved and what you brought to it, and the step-by-step of how you got it done, and then the overall finished product. And I think you could do that for, after you finish your first children's book or your third children's book or something like that, you could put that on there. Or if you did a series of mascot designs for a sports team, then you would show, here's the process, so that the next person who comes up and they need a mascot, there they are, seeing exactly what they're going to get when they hire you. So
are you making a mascot for a team? You've used that example a few times.
No, but I had lunch with a guy here in Arizona. He reached out and he's like, "Hey, you're moving to Arizona. We should have lunch." Finally met up with him, and that's part of his business.
I've never heard of that before.
Yeah, it's cool. I mean, he's a freelancer. He's totally self-supporting from his art, and he's just found this little niche where, if a business needs a mascot or a team needs one, they call him up and he designs it for them.
That is so niche. I love it.
Yeah. Here's the thing. You don't have to be a children's book illustrator. There are 100 different ways to use your talents to make money. And that's what's so cool about this, being in this business. All right. I think that is it for websites. Is there anything else you should do or not do? Do you guys think?
I think
the website?
Yes, yeah. I have a big one. Go ahead. Okay, I just don't want to forget
because mine's better. So I'll let it end on a good
one. We'll wrap with this one.
I'm keeping one too, but go ahead.
Don't put your prices on the website. I mean, if you're selling a print, then that's a different story. But don't say I'll illustrate your book for X amount of dollars. Or I see that all over the place. If you're taking commissions, let people contact you and then explain the variables, because it's just there is too many variables. When somebody hires you for a piece of work that has not been drawn or painted yet, don't throw out. So you may be shooting yourself in the foot, or people may not even contact you anyway, depending on what you write there. So I just see that on amateur sites. So watch out.
I don't want to get too far into that, because that's my topic next time, 3 episodes from now. is that kind of thing.
That's pretty good, Lee.
Yeah,
boom.
That's a good one. Okay, Will, what's yours?
My advice is find 10 illustrators that are super pro that you love, and do a deep dive on their websites. And that's really what I did when I redid my website. Is I went out there and I looked at what, the sites that were my favorite, then I basically just kind of took notes and patterned my site after what they were doing to get a really simple organization. And I don't think you can go wrong if you're doing pretty much like we talked about the about section. That's something that everyone understands what that tab is. So if you're doing things that most people can understand, theoretically people will navigate your site more efficiently and feel like they're getting what they want.
Yeah, that's cool. The last thing I was going to add to is and this goes back to a few episodes ago, and that is building out your email list. And I would have somewhere on your website to have people join your email list, and set a goal to get 1,000 people on that email list, because those are. Your goal as an artist is to have those 1,000 true fans, and that's your first step to doing that. Because you want to just be able to have like these people that you can contact, and you could say, hey, I've got a new book out, or I'm selling a new print, or here's what I'm working on. And that's your on your path to becoming an illustrator or any sort of creative type. You just want to collect these people and start building this relationship with them. So
let me ask you a little bit more detailed question about that, because I have a huge mailing list from people signing up, and I'm not sure if I've ever emailed them back. I don't have a newsletter. Do people like newsletters? This would be a great thing to comment on if you go to our site and check out this episode. I'd love to hear back and see whether people like. There's a couple of companies I have bought something from, and they send a newsletter, and I like it. And then other people are like, oh, please stop.
It's here's the thing: if you are going to do a newsletter, make it worth their attention. So that's the commodity right now, is people's attention. Their commodity it's not money, it's not time, it's just attention. And if you create something regularly on a monthly or biweekly or a weekly basis that is worth their attention, then it can be very valuable to you. And so that's my goal with my newsletter is, and I model it off of other newsletters that I enjoy, where it starts out something very, somewhat personal. Hey, here's what I've been up to. Here's what I'm thinking about. And then I just list 5 things that I think are worth their attention. And it's a mix between stuff that I've been working on, because I'm posting stuff on Twitter, I'm posting stuff on Instagram, I'm doing YouTube videos, I'm doing the podcasts, I'm doing SVS stuff. And no one has time to see everything that I'm doing. And this newsletter is a way for me to kind of pull out what's the most important and boil it down for people who are interested in what I'm doing, but don't have time to like follow me on everything and watch
places,
everything.
Yeah.
So
how often do you send it out?
When I'm in a good groove, it's every Friday morning they get an email.
Oh, wow.
It probably averages out to maybe 30 emails a year.
Okay.
Yeah. So I'd love it to be a 52 email a year sort of thing. I'm not I'm not that good about it. But if you go to my website and you click on info on the very top, roll over that, there's a thing that says Jake Parker's Weekly Newsletter. And you click on that, and then I have the archive of all the emails that I've sent since February 2018. And so you can get an idea of what's in these things.
You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to sign up for your emailer, and then I'm just going to replace your name with my name.
I already unsubscribed.
You already unsubscribed?
Yeah.
Good. That cost me less money. That's the thing too, is we should do an episode on email lists, but it does cost money to send emails to people once you're sending them in bulk, because Gmail and other email providers will immediately throw them into spam if they know that you're sending tons of emails out from one email address. And so you sign up for something like MailChimp or ConvertKit, and man, we're getting lost in the weeds here on email lists. But if you sign up for one of those, then they have the technology that makes other inboxes know that this isn't spam, that it is something that is coming from a legitimate place. And as you open those emails, you train, if you use Gmail, you train your inbox that this is something you do want coming in. And then the other thing is if you're not interested, unsubscribe. Like, I don't want to bug people. I only want people who are interested, because I have to, most of these websites, once you have over 1,000 or 2,000 emails, you have to start paying a monthly fee to use the service. And so it gets expensive.
I'm going to sign up under a bunch of fake names just to cost you money.
What's expensive, Jake?
So like $30 a month for, 2,000 plus emails.
That's not bad.
You
Yeah.
and must then be paying a lot of money.
Well, I have, it gets, the price per email goes down the more. So I have like 70 or almost 80,000 email subscribers between Jake Parker and Inktober.
Wow.
And that is something like $500 a month. So wow. You switch from being, oh, this is fun, I'm sending out emails, to, okay, this is a business and I'm maintaining contact with these people because I need to leverage them to purchase something so I could justify the amount of money I'm spending. And so with Inktober, with Inktober, I maintain that email list because I'm sending them out weekly emails about the Inktober 52 prompts. And every week they get the new prompt and they can participate. And I think it's worth it to me to engage that community on that level. And then when my Inktober book comes out, I've got those people are the first to know about it and how they can get it. And just, when I do activations with sponsors during the month of October, they're the first to know about special contests and special prizes and things like that. And so that's why it ends up being worth it to me. If I were to just I have 12,000 on my personal email list, that would be something like $100 a month or $120 a month, something like that. Mm. Which that too is worth it to me. Man, you got me going on email lists. But
somebody stop Jake.
Yeah. Anyways, let's you really got some insider baseball on this episode.
Well, let's move on because there's other stuff about the actual website, the topic. Are we done with the topics, or is there? Can I throw out another one?
I'm done. Are you? I said everything I wanted to say.
You didn't mention a shop and its functionality.
That's because we did a whole episode on shops. Like.
We did
2 months ago. Yes.
Well,
this is.
I just wanted to.
You don't remember that?
No.
Okay, we did a whole episode on how to build an online shop, and if you haven't, actually, I'm glad you brought that up, because if you haven't heard that episode, it goes great with this episode. I would pair these two together.
That's where
you could listen to that one first if you want, or you could listen to this one first, but they go hand in hand.
But you should have a shop if you're selling stuff. People buy stuff, and it's a nice way to have a secondary business. So go check that one out because you need to have a store. And Squarespace is awesome for the store. I just want to throw that out there. We're not paid by Squarespace. We're not sponsored by Squarespace, but that is wholeheartedly why I switched to Squarespace, because of the functionality of their shop.
Very good.
Boom.
Very good. All right, let's wrap it up, shall we?
Let's do it.
Okay, let me find my notes here because I do not have this part memorized. Where did it go? Oh, there it is. Okay, everybody. Thank you for joining us. 3-Point Perspective is made possible by SVSLearn.com, where becoming a great illustrator starts. Go over there, sign up for it, go through the track, the portfolio track that we're building out. Prop design and vehicle design are the latest classes to have dropped in there. And I personally did the prop design class, and I stand by it. I think you are going to learn a ton about design from that class, because I go into design principles, and by the end of it, you should have a portfolio piece to put on your website. So your hosts have been Will Terry, Lee White, and Jake Parker. Will Terry's website. You guys ready for this? It's willterry.com. Go check it out. And I'm sure if you are listening to this while you're at your computer, you've probably already been looking at our websites because we've been going over it the whole time. But if you haven't, check it out. See why his website is so amazing and how come he keeps getting work from that. Lee White, find his website at leewhiteillustration.com. And he's got a beautiful website as well, and excellent pro way to go about doing a website. And then my website is mrjakeparker.com. This is how not to do a website. I like my website too. I'm really happy with it, but go check that out. Okay. Podcast is produced by Aaron Painter. Check out his website, painterdraws.com. Podcast edited by Alex Sugg, and you can check out his website, alexsugg.com. That's Sugg with 2 G's. And the podcast video is posted on YouTube. So if you aren't listening to this on your iPod or your iPhone, I don't know. Why did I say iPod?
What is that?
Do you even make those anymore?
You're listening on your Walkman.
Yes, but if you could go watch these podcasts on YouTube and comment on the YouTube videos and see our beautiful faces. But Daniel's the guy who edits and put those up there, and his website is daniel2.co, and that's 2 is spelled TU. And then our podcast and social media specialist is Lisa Fott, and she is out there getting the word out to everybody that these podcast episodes have dropped, and so we thank her for that. All right. If you like this episode, go over to svslearn.com/forums, I think, or just click on the forum button and join the forums over there. And we have a topic dedicated to this episode. So you can go in there and give us your advice on websites or.
Hey, and you can even illustrate this podcast or one of our podcasts if you like. We have a monthly contest. Should we throw that into our wrap up?
That's right. That should be a part of our wrap up. So, every month at svslearn.com, we have a monthly contest, and subscribers are eligible to win this contest and get a job, get hired from us. So we will hire you out to do a job where you design our podcast episode illustration. And it's been great. The illustrations we've been getting from people have been really good. The contest is fun too, because we have an arena sort of battle bracket at the end of the month where we pick our favorite 16, and then the audience actually decides which one they like best. So we put 2 illustrations together, and then they vote which one's better on some certain criteria that we explain, and then it comes down to two winners at the end who are then hired on to do an illustration. So that's super fun.
That last podcast illustration was pretty awesome, by the way.
Yeah, well, Will ended up doing that one. we something was weird with our schedule, or I forget why, but it ended up Will doing it. So whatever. Chime in over on the forums. Let us know what you think about this episode, and that's it. See you guys next time.
Solid as per usual.
You guys were great. You didn't even have to. I knew you guys had plenty to say about this one.
That was good.
Yeah, it was smooth. I mean, I think that was surprisingly good content for what I thought was going to be like, God, how are we going to, I mean, everyone, I always think that, but this one I was like, how are we going to make that?
Well, it's because I have a good outline for it.
Yeah.
It all comes down to the podcast, whoever owns that episode. So if it does fail, it's on you guys who Just winging it.
Yeah, I was wondering when your workload was going to catch up with you because it seems like you're gallivanting all over the planet.
Yeah.
Honeymoon is over. Time to get back.
Oh man.
You have fun playing catch up. I'm going to go play mustard.
Wow.
Or sorry, let's leave on that.
With that just ended everything.
Was there a groan from your studio?
Oh.
Yes.